everybody, welcome back to the YS channel. So today's movie we're going to review is simply known as Ape, or if you're familiar with the TV show and the movie MASH, it's Ape. It has like the little star asterisk in between each letter, stylized that way.
And,
Anyhow,
and if you're familiar with the show Growing Pains, the female star in Ape is Ape went on to be Kirk Cameron's mom in Growing Pains.
that's right, she was.
Yes.
But yeah, so let's talk about this steaming pile of shit that they call a fucking movie. So this movie is a 1976 kaiju monster disaster movie. Again, as I said, released in 1976, and it's about a giant gorilla that wreaks havoc in South Korea. And it borrows elements from King Kong. There's even a somewhat of a love interest, kind of like what King Kong did when he kidnaps the stupid lady. In fact, this movie's sole reason for existence was to rip off of the hype of the upcoming King Kong reboot that they were hyping up. So this movie studio in South Korea is like, let's make a shitty, cheap ripoff and cash in on the hype. And then that's how we got Ape.
Yes, well, the beautiful thing about South Korean kaiju movies, well, there's nothing beautiful about them. They fucking suck. like they take the worst Godzilla movie out there, and the best South Korean kaiju movie makes the worst Godzilla movie look like Citizen Kane. That's how bad these movies are.
All right. I'll give it some credit. Okay. I mean, have you ever seen like some of the Toho kaiju TV shows and movies? They look really shitty and cheap, but at the same time, they're endearing. This kind of falls in line with that, but it's a blatant King Kong ripoff. Now, this movie, beyond the plot of a stupid giant monkey that comes out of the water and again, just basically does the Godzilla things in South Korea, its plot's pretty incomprehensible. The acting is terrible, especially the opening sequence. Oh my god.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That acting did not bring that character any other roles afterwards.
No, it's like I can't believe I didn't win the Oscar for that. Really?
Yeah, you want a Razzie for it maybe, but not an Oscar.
Yeah, I didn't. The props and special effects, dude. I mean, there's cheap, where it's obvious, and then there's shit, which is what this is. It's clear as a person in a Halloween costume, dressed like a giant gorilla monkey, and it's supposed to be fighting a shark in the opening sequence, and it's literally just some rubber bath toy. And it's clear what it is.
Yep.
And then a lot of the other miniatures and props they use in the movie, like they make a very feeble attempt to hide that they're just like little figurines and toys.
Yeah, and then at certain points during the movie where the ape's being shot at, you can see the actor playing the ape's close to the holes in the ape suit, and like this movie is so fucking cheap they couldn't afford it for a new ape suit.
Yeah, dude, there's even a weird sequence where like I think the ape is dancing or whatever, and then it flips off like the helicopters or whatever. It's actually in the movie. I don't know, like, what the fuck is this?
There's a sequence in the movie where there's a bunch of people in shitty outfits just going up this hill, pointing the camera, and not the camera, their rifles at the camera and shooting the ape, and there's nothing to the ape. And then my favorite sequence in the whole movie is like when the ape is in the capital of South Korea, and he's just like,
yeah.
So actually so fucking retarded. Even the actor in the suit didn't know what he was supposed to do.
I mean, like I watched this for the first time, like I think I saw it like a year or so ago, and then obviously I rewatched it, for the purposes of doing this review. And I have to say this is like the Neil Breen of kaiju movies. All right, it makes no fucking sense whatsoever. It's ridiculous, and it exists, just like his movies.
Yes, it defies logic.
Yeah, it's. I'll say this: it's very entertainingly bad. All right, it's like Samurai Cop.
I would not say it's anything bad. It's like it's so bad that you wish you had something else better to do. Bad.
No, this is one of those. Now on the YS channel, we don't recommend drug use, but if you're the one of the types that likes to watch really shitty movies and get high, this is an experience for you. Now, with that said, we don't condone drug use, but
No, we don't. But same time, if it helps, it helps.
yeah, we understand. All right, and you probably need drugs or some kind of serious medication to get through this movie more than once.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, I literally I'm not even giving a spoiler warning. It's just literally giant monkey comes out of the water and attacks South Korea. There's your movie.
I believe the movie had a budget of under 50 grand. It was made like grant you during the 70s. A lot of the Godzilla movies from that decade were made on a shoestring budget of maybe like $150,000. But thing is, in South Korea, they have little experience making monster movies, and $50,000 maybe back then didn't go as far as it did in South Korea. So as a result, they purposely made a shitty movie on purpose, and hoping no one would notice how shitty it was. But so shitty that it's shit. It was pure shit.
Dude, this movie literally sucks farts straight out of the assholes. Again, we already mentioned earlier in our review, it simply exists to cash in on the hype of the 1976 King Kong reboot. That's the only reason why it does exist.
I think the reason why this movie did not receive a larger release was also because of King Kong 1976. Because there were other King Kong ripoffs in production that were trying to cash in on King Kong, the new King Kong movie, and the producers, the studio that controlled the new King Kong movie were able to shut this down. Now, and I have a feeling they got wind of this and prevented a wide release of this film. But still, like it got out.
I'm gonna say this. I know. Some point, I think it was referred to as Super King Kong or something. Like they tried to use the King Kong in the naming and the branding of the movie. And again, the movie studio, I think it was Universal. I could be mistaken. Whoever had the rights to the King Kong franchise at the time caught on to it, and they like you gotta change the name of this, and that's how you got Ape. Even though in some overseas markets it's still called like Son of King Kong or Super King Kong, but in the United States, because of that, and also because of its poor overall quality, they got a very limited release. You know, it was pretty much when they couldn't like get away with using the King Kong iconography, it pretty much shut down any chances movie had to make any serious money. And then even if it did, you would have seen like a massive just box office crash, you know? Because people are like, this isn't King Kong, this is some retard in a fucking Halloween costume.
Well, I'll give the South Koreans credit here. Like, for the longest time, their cinema was dog shit, and then starting around I think the late '80s, especially the '90s, they turned up the quality of their films. And now South Korea is one of the top film-producing nations of the planet. In fact, a couple of years ago, that movie Parasite from South Korea won Best Picture. Picture. So South Koreans today know what they're doing, but back then it was like any other Asian nation media out there. They're trying to produce it in a cheap, make it quick, and hope no one noticed. And that's actually what partly killed the Godzilla franchise in the '70s. Besides the cyclical energy crisis, like people wanted better and bigger special effects, better quality. And Toho eventually listened and tried that in the 80s.
Yeah. They had some mixed results of that, but yeah, it was obvious they were just making cheap, shitty one after cheap, shitty one. Now, South Korea does have some classics from this time period. There's a kaiju movie called Youngari or whatever.
I haven't seen it.
You know, I mean, I won't go as far. Let me retract that statement back a bit. I won't go as far as saying it's a classic, but it's a competent kaiju movie, even though it's a blatant Godzilla ripoff. I mean, that one's watchable. You know, especially if you're the fan of the genre. You know, that is watchable. This, however,
It's
This-
unwatchable.
no, you have to be higher drunk to actually enjoy this experience. You know, I'm actually amazed, like when they make movies this bad on purpose. You don't get me wrong, this was on purpose. All right, unlike other like bad movies reviewed like Samurai Cop, where they tried, and then at some point they just phoned it in because they knew what the fuck this is going to be a shit show regardless. You know, and they get that like a doomed production. This was just blatantly just going to be a cheap, shitty production. Like no qualms about it. You know, it was just basically meant to rip off foolish moviegoers who didn't know better. You know, basically it's fraud. You know,
Yeah, pretty much that's what it is. What it is, some of the movies we have reviewed on this channel definitely tax schemes, tax savings, because there's no other explanation as to why they would make a movie this bad on purpose.
well, it's like some of the later Steven Seagal productions. Like I don't understand why some of these movies exist, because you know his name value, you know, especially like in the mid early 2000s, and I think 2016 might have been the last year he, maybe 2019, one of those. It was like the last year he released any movie of any type. But his name value was dead already. But somehow he kept showing up in movies, and a lot of them are incomprehensibly terrible. You know.
Well, here's the thing. I actually watched a video of the director of one of his movies, restricted video movies. Apparently, it seems Seagal is still a big name out there. Not like he's like Chris Pratt big or Robert Downey Jr. big, but his name still holds value because apparently in 2016, Steven Seagal made like 5 or 7 movies, straight to video movies. One of these movies takes place in the future, where he's a dictator, and seriously, apparently production wanted to hire what's his name, the Lundgren guy, I forget his first name, Dolph Lundgren, be in that movie. There's a goal. Apparently, it had enough clout and veto power to turn down that request because his name was actually bigger than Dolph Lundgren's at the time.
Well, no, what this has to do with Ape is,
There's a goal Ape.
It's a modern example of incomprehensibly just terrible movies just being made to either cash in on a bigger name franchise that it's attempting to rip off, or as a tax haven. That's exactly what Ape is. Nothing more. You know, even its soundtrack and its actual like production values are like totally like lackluster. Like all the shots, a lot of the camera angles is shot in the dark, no lighting or poor lighting.
Well,
you know?
I'll say this as a filmmaker who has to constantly deal with all those issues because my productions have such limited budgets. I understand where they were coming from, but at the same time, they were trying to make a legit feature-length film, and they should have afforded better quality camera work, lighting setup, and sound, all that happy shit. It chose not to,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows.
Yeah, they were just hoping they could stick around for like a month, cash in, and then disappear. That's it. You know, there's not much else to say. Like, each scene is just as incomprehensible and terrible as the one that preceded it. Like the image there in the thumbnail that we're using. Literally,
That's it.
it's doing
it's
that.
It's a sight to behold.
Like, that sums up the movie right there. Like, this could have worked. Won't lie. If they were trying to make a parody, right? This could have worked as a parody.
It didn't.
Yeah, no, but they were trying to make a coherent and serious monster kaiju gorilla King Kong ripoff movie. And well, the end results speak for themselves. It's just this is up there as far as some of the worst like feature length productions that's ever been released. It's up there. I won't go as far as saying it's the worst. I mean, Samurai Cop has it beat. And there's ones that are even worse than Samurai Cop in my opinion. At least that one is hilarious for all the wrong reasons, and therefore it's worth watching. Whereas there's just some that are just pure shit. Like you can't watch it. It's bad.
Right.
This is in that neighborhood. All right. It's in that orbit. I would say this is more in the Uwe Boll territory of movies. Most of his movies are just unwatchable piles of steaming monkey shit. And since this is about a giant monkey, it fits the description.
I would put this movie in terms of quality up there with the Godfrey Ho ninja movies. It's just it's just that it's that bad and it's equally as unwatchable.
Yeah.
Unless you enjoy seeing it, and then a cheap ape suit destroys Seoul.
Now, who could have made it entertainingly bad ripoff of King Kong?
Who?
The Turks.
Oh.
Could you imagine a Turkish King Kong?
For those of you who don't know, we have reviewed a couple of Turkish ripoffs of well-known movies.
Turkish Superman.
And yeah, Turkish Superman, Turkish Spider-Man, Turkish. There's a thing of Turkish Batman. There's definitely a Turkish Star Trek out there, which is
Turkish Star Wars. Turkish Star Wars.
Oh, that's the cream of the crop of Turkish movies.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if the Turks decided to do their own King Kong movie with the quality of quality to put it in their ripoffs of better known movies.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Or even like the Bollywood movies. There's like a Bollywood movie where like you have a dude, a Superman, and a lady in a Spider-Man like Halloween costume, doing some weird disco dance number. I mean, even like those places could show like South Korea how to do a terribly bad but hilarious ripoff. Totally infringing on copyright.
Actually, India does have its own Godzilla movie. I forget the name of it. I've seen stills of it because it's considered a lost film, but they're so cheap.
It's like shit in the streets.
Well, that's what India is known for, and they do so. But like, imagine a Bollywood film from the early '60s with no budget, but it's a Godzilla film.
Oh no, I'll pass. So that's what this is now. South Korea actually, as somebody who was a member of the military, I was stationed in Japan, and you would find like these Korean merchants, and they could sell you like pirated or copyright materials, and it was extremely good quality. It's almost like that's like the true national export. And hell, you could get like merchandise that looks like name brand stuff like Gucci or Louis Vuitton, Nike, right? It's all counterfeit. But it looks like the real thing is actually halfway decent quality itself. And it's like, fuck.
I'm gonna say this because I too was in the military, but when I was stationed at Shepherd Air Force Base for tech training,
fuck you.
because you had fuck you too, Derek. But they had like they were doing something similar too, but one version was like Sony's really bad sword fight movies from South Korea and China.
Yeah, well, that's what you get for going there. Now, I'm gonna say this: there's a movie we kind of have like in our reserves of weird and obscure bad movies, and it's a live-action, unofficial Dragon Ball movie. I like to call it Korea Ball Z, even though it's just Dragon Ball. Now, I'm going to say this about the live-action Korean Dragon Ball movie. Obviously, some of its production values are cheap and cheesy looking. However, if you're like a lot of animes when they do like a live-action adaptation, doesn't matter, low budget, no budget, big budget, most of them look like shit. There's exceptions, all right, but for the most part, they look like shit. This actually, for the most part, is a very faithful live action production. You know, the characters, for some exceptions, actually kind of look like the anime counterparts. You know, like, well, it's actually a better made movie than the official American Dragon Ball Evolution movie that came out in the 2000s.
Oh, don't give me a star on that movie.
Yeah. So think about it. Like a low budget, unofficially licensed ripoff movie was vastly better in quality than an officially sanctioned and licensed Hollywood blockbuster. Just put that out there.
I'm gonna tack on there, and it's actually Japan's fault, not America's fault. And then in the late '90s, Japan made the first ever official live action Gundam movie, and the seeing clips of it, it's bad.
Yeah.
First of all, they recycled the uniforms from Starship Troopers, and then the CGI is just horrendous.
Yeah. Well, they're actually trying to make they're trying to like reboot the live action Gundam franchise. So hopefully the one's much better. Now, I'm sure those of you who've been following along with our conversations here, you know, you probably are itching and dying for more ape content, and I'm happy to tell you there is none.
Yes.
Like, it's such a shit movie. Like,
I know years of my nice band just trying to watch it.
Yeah. So, if you're interested in watching these obscure like bad movies, by all means watch it. You can find it easily on YouTube. I don't have much more else to add to it other than all these random little segues we did. Talk about Steven Seagal and, you know, Uwe Ball and Dragon Ball and all the other weird things, and how South Korea, you know, their fledgling movie industry. You know, not much else to add to this one. So I wish there was more, but there's not. And perhaps that's for the best for everybody. So, you know, as always, please like, follow, subscribe to our channel so we can bless you, especially with this holiday season, for more obscure movie reviews. And just maybe, just maybe, we'll do some more mainstream movie reviews as well.
Oh.
All right, all right, stop that.
Yeah.
So anyhow, people, thank you for tuning in. Until the next time, later.
Later, people.
Stars sprinkling